What is up, Insaners, and welcome to another stream, another deadline stream. Welcome to the Game Week 3 deadline stream, guys. Couple of hours before the deadline, we are back again with another stream, another video. And I think this is going to be really, really interesting. Looking forward to the stream today. Hello to all of you again. I hope you've had a good rest, a good week. I hope you saw the matches last time around. A lot more to see this time around as well. Some interesting calls, some interesting dilemmas that a lot of managers, me included, I'm sure you also would be having, or probably you had. And we'll kind of deep dive into all those dilemmas. We'll try to help you out. As always, if you're new around here, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You like the stream as well. We've been doing daily FPL content. We'll try to help you a lot more than previous seasons. And I'm thank you so much for the response that we've been getting. Thank you so much for all the love that you guys have shown to us. And yeah, let's take it from there. I think I'm pretty much set in terms of my team, in terms of my moves. I haven't really made a lot of moves. I've just made one transfer. I have a free left as well. And let's see if we get some news, if we get some information, something might change. I don't know what to say right now, but yeah, I mean, a couple of hours is a long time to kind of take that into consideration. But I think it's going to be an interesting one. Please feel free to add any questions, any comments, anything that you want to check, whether it's a transfer dilemma, whether it's a captaincy debate. I mean, would happy to help you, and would also love to know your thoughts in terms of what you are making out. Couple of very interesting things that are happening. We'll talk about those as well in terms of FPL, in terms of football this weekend, and I think it's going to be interesting. Hello United. How do you pronounce that second word? I think it's interesting. Hello to you, anyways. Welcome to the stream. Hello Nigel. Welcome to you. Welcome to the stream to you as well. You've shared your team, but we'll first quickly say hello to everybody else. We'll get your team very, very soon. Hey Shivam, hello to you. And hey guys, welcome again, or welcome all of you. And then let's start the questions. Please feel free to add as much as you can, so that it also helps the other people on the stream as well. Nigel, you've shared your team. We'll look at the team first. So it's Ramsdale, Trent, Cancelo, James, Shar. In midfield, you have Salah, Saka, Gordon, Neto. Among your forwards, you have Haaland and Jesus, which is, I think, pretty much template. I think most of the people already have these two players in their teams. Ward, Pereira, Williams, Taylor, I mean, pretty much similar to what everybody has. 1.5 million in the bank. Let me know if you. Okay, so you've already downgraded Coutinho to Gordon, and you have one free transfer left. You're asking, shall I upgrade Neto to Zaha? So I think a lot of people are talking about this upgrade where they want to take out Neto, or let's say a Bailey, for example. Zaha is an interesting one. I think it's a great differential, to be very honest. Don't take me wrong, or don't get put off by Zaha, because absolutely nobody's buying Zaha. I think he's a really good option. He's a differential, and of course, not a lot of people are kind of trusting Zaha. But as far as what I've seen from Palace, they are, at least against the stronger teams, they are kind of playing on the counter, and that is where the likes of Eze and Zaha have done really, really well. We know that Zaha, kind of plays in that lone upfront position when they are playing on the counter, and he has the pace, right? So I'm not sure about what Zaha's potential is when they, let's say, face low block teams where they have to kind of make a lot of plays, where they need some creative impetus, right? I mean, that is where Zaha becomes a little bit trickier, but I think it's a good move. They have decent fixtures. I mean, it's not that easy because they have Man City a couple of game weeks after this. They have Villa now. Then it's Brentford, Newcastle United, Brighton, Chelsea. So it's not the easiest set of run, and I think there are better options available. But again, if you're looking at a differential, I think Zaha is right up there. But I just see there's probably better value in somebody like a Pascal Gross, for example. Maybe you go to somebody like a Rodrigo as well, right? So you've mentioned Rodrigo. Rodrigo this week is a bit tricky. Maybe you save, if you plan to get Rodrigo this week. I know a lot of people have made that transfer, but I just feel against Chelsea, it's not going to be easy. We know that Leeds can score goals, and probably Rodrigo is the most likely player to score a goal. But I think it's probably better to wait this out. If you want, Pascal Gross is there as well. I'm just not very sure about these kind of options right now. I know that a lot of people are looking for somebody in that price bracket, but I mean, just hear me out on this, because a lot of people went Bailey initially. I also went Bailey. It didn't work out. Now we're going for the likes of, let's say, a Rodrigo, or a Gross, for example. What happens if that doesn't work out, right? What is the next outlet? I think this is a bit trickier, because you see all these fullbacks, you see all these wingbacks in that 5.5 million price range, and there's a lot of value there. So Another option, if you want to play five at the back, and which is not a bad strategy, is to probably upgrade a Shah. I think that's also an option. And maybe you can upgrade a Shah to a Cucurella. Let's say if you already have James, then maybe you don't want to take a chance of Cucurella. You can even go for Walker as well. So there are, it's a different strategy, of course, and there is no harm in playing with a 4-4-2 or maybe a four-man midfield with probably Pereira on the bench. But yeah, I mean these are certain options that you can probably go for. Walker or Cucurella, another very important debate, another very interesting debate for this week. I think both of them are really, really good options. You're gonna get clean sheets with both, but if you look, so let's divide this into two parts, right? The first part is basically you look at the clean sheet potential, where I think Walker is definitely better because Man City has a slightly better defense. At least I like to believe that Man City will keep, maybe a bit more amount of clean sheets, number of clean sheets than Chelsea, for example. But Cucurella has attacking threat, so he kind of, makes up for it with the attacking threat. He's on set pieces. We know that he can deliver crosses on corners. He got that assist. So there are chances that, he can get you attacking potential. But personally, I feel Walker is slightly safer. I mean, I might be totally wrong because we don't know what Pep is going to do and he can absolutely smash our FPL teams. But I just feel because Chilwell is a strong replacement, right? And Chilwell will feature. I mean, it's not a possibility that he won't feature. So probably Cucurella is good for 2 to 3 weeks. After that, it becomes a little iffy. Maybe you can change that or make a different transfer. If you're looking at a slightly long-term picture, then I think Walker is the better option to go for. He'll give you 6 points, more or less. I mean, he's not going to get you bonus points. He doesn't really have any attacking potential. I mean, there are no chances of an assist. Mostly, he's not going to provide you with assists, maybe even a goal. So if you're looking at slightly riskier strategy, maybe Cucurella. If you want to go absolutely safe, then I think it's Walker. Walker has to be the option to go for. Gross or Eze, I mean, whatever we've seen so far, Eze looks like a really, really good player. But in terms of FPL potential, we need somebody who can give you assists, who can give you goals. I'm just not very sure that Eze can do that right now. I think Gross right now could change in a couple of weeks, but at this moment, I think he's playing in a, in a more central sort of a position. He's just playing behind the striker. He's on set pieces. He will be on penalties as well. A lot of potential with Gross. Brighton are a team. They are kind of I mean, a kind of a troll team because they create a lot of chances. Their XG expected goal numbers, I mean, their attacking stats are really, really good, but they generally lack that clinical finishing, right? And I think Pascal Gross can provide that, considering that he's a better finisher, considering that he's also playing a lot more advanced. I just feel Brighton are a better team. I mean, even if you look at attack, if this was a Zaha, for example, I know different price point, but I think Zaha was probably a better option. But I think between these two right now at the moment, I think Pascal Gross has to be the better pick. Perisic plus Mount or Walker plus Diaz, Robertson and Bailey out, which is absolutely fine. Perisic, again, Walker is safer. So if you want to go absolutely safe, you go Walker. Perisic has massive upside, right? I mean, we've all been talking about Perisic giving us 15-20 hauls, pointer hauls, and everybody's expecting that. We've hardly seen that right now, but a lot of speculation that he can start this week. If he starts, there is massive potential in a Perisic because even if he plays 60 minutes against a Wolves team who play in a back four, right? The Wolves are generally playing in a back four now, and they don't look very strong defensively in a back four. If this was a back five, I think the conversation would have been slightly different. But if you want to take a risk, take a chance, I think Perisic is a really good option. Diaz, again, long term, I feel could be better because at least in the next 3 games, when we look at silos, Darwin Nunes is not going to play. There will be Firmino, who's fit and who will start against United. In the next 3 fixtures as well, I think Jota is probably nearing fitness, but he's nowhere returning into the 11. So I think Diaz will get a lot of chances along with Salah. Mount, I'm keeping Mount for this week, but again, I probably won't get in Mount, to be very honest. I know fixtures are good. I know he's a flat track bully as well. He basically plays a lot better than against weaker oppositions, right? So maybe he's an option, but he's not a person. He's not a player that I would probably bring in this week, right? So the overall combination is probably better in terms of Walker plus Diaz. I think that's sounding a lot better. But again, if you want to take a chance with Perisic, then I think it's. I mean, you won't go wrong with that. Downgraded Coutinho. I mean, yeah, as I answered, right? So you can probably go for Rodrigo if you're looking at a slightly long-term picture. This week, it's not the best transfer to do. Maybe you just keep that free and then make the upgrade next week. What do you think about Rodrigo? Good option, a lot of goal threat. He's playing in a striker position. I don't think so. Bamford is injured long term or anything, so maybe a lot of people are speculating that he will be on penalties. Maybe when Bamford is back, he won't get penalties. There is still a chance that he gets goals. This week is looking a bit trickier, but again, if you have to freeze, let's say if you're okay benching him this week as well. I mean, I personally feel that a Neko Williams or maybe even Andres Pereira are better options than Rodrigo this week, to be very honest. And Rodrigo is one of the most transferred in players this week, right? So I think good option. I'm just not very sure about him, let's say, as compared to a Pascal Gross at the moment, because Leeds have a lot of attackers. Their attacking potential, their the returns, right? The FPL returns, whether it's goals or assists, that probably will be shared among the likes of Aronson, among the likes of Harrison. Then we have Bamford as well. Brighton don't really have that many options, right? So I think Pascal Gross is slightly better, but Rodrigo, I mean, if you want to take a chance, he's a decent option. Thinking of Tielemans as an option or save, I personally won't go Tielemans. I don't think so. There is a lot of. I mean, if I have to go for a Leicester option, I'll probably not even look at the likes of Dewsbury Hall. I'll try to make money for that 8 million option, and I'll probably go for Madison from, let's say, game week 6 or 7, or maybe even 8 or 9. Let's say if you're wildcarding at that point of time. Other than that, I don't think so. I'll probably go for any other Leicester options. You can go for Vardy, who's also a differential. Let's say if you have a Nunes, etc. I mean, that's an option. But yeah, I mean, Tillemans, I am not very sure of. No thought of selling Shar. I'll be playing him again. So I mean, yeah, if you want to keep Shar, I mean, a lot of people have kept Trippier as well. I know that a lot of people are selling him for the likes of Zinchenko, Cucurella, Perisic as well. I mean, I've seen transfers like that as well. But yeah, if you want to keep Shar, I mean, it's not really bad. I mean, if you can rotate Shar with, let's say, somebody like a Pereira in game week 3 and 5, I don't really see why you should probably sell Shar unless again, going very heavy in the back and you're probably playing with 5 premium defenders. Would you sell Robertson to Diaz for a hit? I spoke about this in the last minute tips video as well, which released this morning. Personally, I don't like the idea of taking a hit for it. I understand why you would want to do it, because maybe we're not very confident of Liverpool keeping clean sheets. I still believe, I know there's a lot of communication, a lot of conversation around Robertson being a bad pick all of a sudden. He's not attacking, or he's not having attacking numbers. Maybe he won't get you assists as well. I personally don't believe in that theory. I still feel 2 weeks is too early to kind of make a judgment about it, right? It's Liverpool we're talking about. It's the probably the best two fullbacks we're talking about in the Premier League. So I don't think so. It's a bad option to keep Robertson, but and I understand Diaz, because Diaz will be getting a lot of potential. He will be getting a lot of chances, but I personally won't do it for a hit. I mean, if you're okay taking a hit at this stage, it's fine. But for this move specifically, I think if you had two free transfers, and if you can just make the switch within those two transfers, I think it's fine. But personally, I don't like the idea of taking a hit for it. It allows you to have Walker over Neto or Bailey. I mean, yes, maybe long term this might be okay, and if you're okay with that, I think it should be okay. Personal opinion, I don't like the idea of a hit. If this was two frees, I would have done it. Shivam, thank you so much for sharing your team. We'll quickly look at it. Ramsdale, Trent, James Cancelo, Lucas Dean, an FPL troll, as called by a lot of people. Patterson, Salah, Martinelli, Diaz, Haaland, Jesus, Ward, Andres Pereira, Neto Archer. Thinking of Dean to Cucurella and Neto to Gross, or Andres to Da Silva for -8. Did Rashford to Martinelli earlier. I mean, I don't like the idea of a -8, to be very honest. If you can do Dean to Cucurella without taking any, if you have that money, if you have that much money, I think it's just do that, and probably, have Cucurella playing, have Martinelli playing. If at all you can, I mean, you can still play a back four. You can go for James, Cancelo, Cucurella, and Patterson. Then you have Salah, Martinelli, Diaz. I mean, if money is not an issue, I think it's a decent option to go for. -8, I'm not sure about a -8. Defense, Nigel, you've shared your team again. Defense, Trent, Cancelo, James, Shar, Nico Williams. Start with Shar or Williams. I like I like Williams, to be very honest. I mean, Shar is playing Man City, so I'm not really expecting them to keep a clean sheet. I expect Man City to at least score at least one, if not more, goals, and that's the reason probably Shar is not going to get you bonus points. On the other hand, you have Nico Williams, who's playing a much easier opposition. He will be going forward a lot. We know that he will be attacking a lot. We know that he will be probably on set pieces. a lot of the attacking threat that Forest possess, I mean, that will come through Nico Williams. So there are high chances that he gets something from this game, right? I just like the overall potential. I know Forest have been a bit lucky. They were definitely lucky against West Ham to keep a clean sheet, but there are chances that that a clean sheet can be kept, right? So I overall potential, I just like Nico Williams a lot more. Shar again, if he didn't have Man City, I probably would have gone for somebody else. But yeah, I mean it's probably not even a conversation. Billy to Gross and Trippier to some 4.7 million left in the bank. Sessegnon or Henry. I mean, Henry is a decent option to go for. You can even go for Saliba if you want. If you, let's say, if you don't have an Arsenal option, if you don't have Ramsdale, if you have one spot open for an Arsenal defender, I think Saliba is a decent option. A lot of people are saying that he's probably the number one, or the the top pairing with Gabriel right now, and that possibly would be the case. I think White is still a bit risky in terms of rotation. We saw that Tomiyasu came in place of White, and White was struggling a bit. And over the long term, I think if Tomiyasu can get fit, I think he's a better option than White, especially when he's playing on the right side. So I think if you want to go for a premium defender, premium team defender, then you probably can go for Saliba. I think he's a good option to go for. Other than that, let's say if you're not convinced by Saliba, maybe Rico Henry is actually a good option. Brentford, I mean, yeah, they might not keep a lot of clean sheets, but he has attacking potential, and I think it's probably a good alternate pick if you don't want to go for Saliba, for example. I personally won't go for White, to be very honest. Williams is also an option if you want to save some money. I think Williams is a great option to go for. He's still very, very cheap, so you will end up having some money in the bank. And I mean, if you can make, or if you have, I mean, just plan this out, like with whatever extra money. What are your future moves? Are you getting really significant upgrades elsewhere? Let's say in midfield or maybe in attack. Are you getting those upgrades which probably will help your FPL score? If yes, then probably go Williams. I think that, I mean, it's again probably the best option out there. Might not give you a lot of points, but again, if you want to keep that on the bench and not play him every week, I think he's a decent option to go for. I just transferred up Coutinho for Zaha this week. I mean, yeah, as I said, Zaha has tough fixtures. This week it's looking decent because I mean, Aston Villa haven't really inspired a lot of confidence in defense, so he can score against Villa. But overall, yeah, I mean, over the next 5, 6 fixtures, I'm not very sure about his potential. I just feel there probably could be better options and slightly cheaper value. What's your plan with Mount? Does it bother? I mean, to be very honest, it doesn't really bother me not having three Liverpool players. I know it's against United, but again, I'll probably lose out on one game week of points. Let's say if Diaz really goes mad and maybe he gets like 15, 20 points, I can get him in next week. I have additional money, so I don't think so. It'll be a really, really bad option, or I just don't feel it's. I know a lot of people say that you need three City, you need three Liverpool, you need probably two Chelsea, you need three Arsenal. I mean, no. I mean, it's there is no one way of playing FPL, to be very, very honest, right? Uh, a lot of, in fact, the manager who won FPL last season, he didn't have Salah for about 10 or 12 game weeks, right? And you can't even imagine not having Salah, right? Because he has that much potential. So I just feel it's too early in the season to be worried about a Liverpool triple up. Yes, I would like to cover my bases with the Salah. I think Trent is also pretty much essential because his ownership is very, very high. So, I mean, it's fine if I don't have a third Liverpool spot. Mount, if he doesn't do well, I think I can transfer him out next week for a Diaz. If I don't even find Diaz very appealing, I mean, and Mount as well, I could probably hold Mount, and then I can make a switch maybe to a Kulusevski later, maybe to a Madison later as well. I'm not thinking of buying Saka because I already have Martinelli, and I think right now we have enough proof to say that Martinelli is good enough to kind of cover Saka at the moment. So there are options that I can go for in place of Mount, but I'm not very worried about not having a third Liverpool spot. This also kind of gives me an option to go Darwin Nunes if at all I want to go to Nunes. I know it's probably 3 or 4 game weeks down the line, but yeah, that's also an option. Mount Robertson Neto dropped. Gross Rose not a start. I mean, yeah, not a great start. I know a lot of people were kind of priced out. Let's say if they don't have money and Mount dropped, now you can't get an 8 million midfielder, right? Same goes for Neto as well. I mean, if you're looking at a 5.5 million option, Neto has dropped now. Bailey has also dropped, so he's also, I mean, that's not ideal. Gross has risen. But yeah, I mean, was it worth taking hits to catch? To be very honest, I think you should play your own game. You should not be worried about price rises at this stage. I know a lot of people like to build team value at this stage because the price rises, price falls, changes in fact are very volatile. But I mean, it's a long season, right? You should probably look at options that you can go for. It's not that Gross was outrightly the best option to go for, or I mean, he's probably going to smash it in FPL. You're probably looking at smaller game weeks where he can blank as well. So don't get disheartened by that. I don't agree with the price rises, price falls. Of course, I went a bit early on James because I knew that I had to get James, and I'm okay. So for me as well, Mount has dropped in price, right? Bailey has also dropped in price. So I mean, it's fine. You if you don't have if you can't get to a different midfielder, let's say if you can't get to a Gross right now, you probably change your strategy, look at other alternatives, and then maybe you go big at the back, you change your structure, and you invest some additional money in your defense. So I mean, again, as I said, there's no one way of playing FPL, right? So I feel Tielemans has attacking potential. I mean, if you look at both options, right, Tielemans and Ward-Prowse, they will be really good over 38 game weeks. I mean, maybe not Tielemans, but I think Ward-Prowse definitely ticks along really well over your 38 game weeks. Now, he will be getting those goals from free kicks. Maybe he gets an odd goal here and there. Maybe he gets a few assists, but it's very difficult to catch those hauls, right? Let's say with a Luis Diaz, I mean, you are certain about his potential. With maybe Saka not right now just yet, but different options you are still kind of certain. These are good options, but would you be able to catch that haul? Would you be on the right side of that haul? Is very difficult to predict. So maybe in the short run, you possibly go for better options. Leicester as well. I think a lot of their attacking play is going through somebody like a Madison. So Madison is definitely the standard option. Of course, they're not at similar price points, so the comparison also is not probably very fair. But yeah, I just feel Tillmans and Ward-Prowse, they're just probably better options to go for. Zinchenko and Mendy or Cucurella and Ramsdale. I like Cucurella and Ramsdale a little bit more. Ramsdale makes a lot more saves than Mendy, for example. Arsenal do concede shots, and he does make a lot of decent saves. And with Cucurella as well, I think you're getting a little bit more potential. Both of them are not safe from rotation. Zinchenko can get rotated. Maybe he plays in midfield. Right now, I don't see that happening, but there is a chance. There is an option in Tierney who can take his place from the bench. So there is a risk involved. Same for Cucurella. I think Chilwell is also there to take his place. But when you look at the combination, I just like Cucurella and Ramsdale a lot more. Ramsdale for his save potential. I think clean sheets, Arsenal really has good fixtures, probably better fixtures than Chelsea when it comes to keeping a clean sheet over the next 5, 6 game weeks. And then you also have maybe Cucurella with a slightly more attacking threat. He will be on set pieces, with Zinchenko is probably not. So I think you are at a slight advantage there with a Cucurella and a Ramsdale. Is Gross good? I mean, he's good, but he's a cheaper option. He's a budget midfielder. He's playing for Brighton. It's not that he's playing for a Man City or an Arsenal. I'm not going to say United, but yeah, I mean a premium team, for example. So yeah, he can still do well over the next couple of weeks, maybe more. But there's a chance that he blanks, and then what are we going to do when they blank, right? And that's why I like the idea of probably going a little bit big in the back, and then having those assured options that can at least give you clean sheets, if not more. I mean, maybe Gross gives you a 10-12 pointer in 1 week, then he blanks for the next 3 or 4 weeks, right? That's a possibility. So he's good in that price bracket. If you are dead certain that you probably want to play a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-4-3-3, for example, with let's say like a Salah, Martinelli, and a third option in a Gross, for example, for some reason, then I think he's a decent option to go for. Will Pereira start? Looks like he's fit, and I think he should start the game. Really confused between Salah and Jesus captain getting from last year was Salah versus Havertz. I think Salah is definitely the standard option just because of the fact that United have been so poor in defense. I mean, they're all over the place. I can't even imagine. It's kind of good that a Nunes is not playing, because a Darwin Nunes against a Martinez or a Maguire would have been just absolutely a joke, right? That's not going to happen. Maybe it's slightly better for United, but there are chances that there could be protests and the game could be cancelled. I don't think so. That's probably going to happen, but I can still not be 100% certain on that. So if you are, I mean, it's not even a risk with Salah, to be very honest, right? Because United are poor. He has a good record against United. It will be home. There will be it's a home game for United, so there'll be a lot of pressure on from the fans, from what's happening outside. and the players will be a bit nervous. They will be a bit edgy. So there are a lot of chances of things going absolutely wrong, right? And I just feel Salah has more potential this week. Having said that, Jesus is not a bad option. He's definitely going to be a slightly differential option as compared to a Salah. I think Salah's effective ownership is probably going to be around 150, 160. Maybe Jesus is somewhere around 120. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take a chance, if you want to go against the tide, I think Salah, you probably can go for a Jesus. I think it's a decent option. It's not, of course, anyone can blank out of the two players at the end of the day. But when you talk about absolute potential, I think both of them have really really good potential. I'm personally a little bit more towards Salah, and I think I will be staying there. I just feel both are away games, so they're not going to be that easy. But I just feel Man United are really really bad at the moment. So yeah, nothing else to add to that. Um, they just you've shared your team: Raya, Trent, Robbo, Walker, Cancelo, Pereira, Salah, Saka, Haaland, Jesus. Your bench is Da Silva, Trippier, Greenwood. Thinking of doing Bailey to Gross, but can also do Trippier to Zinchenko. I like the idea of going Trippier to Zinchenko. I mean, if you are okay benching Trippier and playing Pereira, I mean, Newcastle don't really have that bad of fixtures. I mean, yes, they have a tough game this week. Then they also have Liverpool in game week 5. But other than that, the fixtures are decent. It's not that you're getting a lot more attacking threat from a Zinchenko, for example. So I mean, if you're okay, if you want to keep those funds in midfield, I mean, you can go for a Gross. You can take that chance. If this was maybe a different option, maybe if you're doubling up on the Chelsea defense, maybe a Cucurella, I think it's probably Cucurella a lot more. But yeah, I mean, I still feel I have more confidence in defenders at the moment than these cheaper midfielders. I feel that it's gonna be a tricky time where they start blanking, and we will be again in a fix in terms of which one to go for now. So I think overall I still like Zinchenko. I mean, I just feel it's a much more secure option unless we really get some information that he's not going to start anymore, and Tierney comes back into the frame. I still feel there is options. There are multiple options as well in that price range as well, right? So if Zinchenko doesn't work out, you maybe go cheaper. You go to Saliba, for example. Maybe you go higher as well. You have Perisic as well. You have some money, extra money from somewhere, and there are options. You can't really say that in that 5.5 to 6.5 million price category. Yes, there are options, but I mean, we really really can't be super dependent. I know I think a lot of us should already kind of understand from what happened with the Leon Bailey and a Neto, and I think the same could happen with a Gross and a Rodrigo as well. So also really really want Perisic to start this game week. Yeah, I mean bringing Perisic is a bold move and I like it. It's a lot more attacking than a lot of other managers. There a lot of these Tottenham forums, fan forums, a few Twitter accounts which are very trusted in terms of giving team news and predicted lineups. They have predicted Perisic to start this game. I'm expecting him to start. Maybe he plays on for 60 minutes or so because I think whatever Conte said in his press comments, it was not really very promising in terms of Perisic getting a lot many minutes. And I think we need to kind of temper our expectations with a Perisic because he's not going to get 90 minutes. He will probably get about 60, 70 minutes, maybe even 45 minutes in some games where we have a midweek fixture or we have a Champions League game midweek. So the expectations kind of need to be a little lower. Yes, he can be absolutely crazy when it comes to attacking potential, and we've already seen that. I mean, he did deliver a great corner for that Kane header. So there are chances, and it's a high risk, high reward move. But if you don't get him, of course, how will you get to know his potential in your team, right? So I think I like that move. And even if you have him, I don't see any point of selling him now. I mean, you've kind of gone at least for 2 weeks with enduring Perisic's pain, and I think you should probably hold him as well. If any of you have him, in your team this week. Zaha might even score against City. Have a strong feeling. I doubt Walker and Akim. I mean, I agree that probably a Walker might be outrun by Zaha. I mean, it's not going to be by a lot, but yeah, I mean, City have a couple of mistakes in them, right? When you see their games, they absolutely dominate possession. It's like 75, maybe 80% possession for almost the entire game. But there are some chances that they give the opposition where there will be a loose pass, where there'll be a loose ball, where there are possibilities on the counter as well. So I mean, it's the Premier League and any team can score against any team. But yeah, I just feel I just feel Walker, I mean, as a pick, as an FPL pick, he'll just tick along nicely. Is Salah, Haaland, or Jesus the better captain? Salah definitely is the most safest option to go for. Most of the people will be captaining Salah against Man United. If you want to go slightly more differential, I think Haaland is also decent. Newcastle were quite open against Brighton. They were conceding a lot of chances, and it was Nick Pope who really saved their day. Otherwise, Brighton probably would have scored at least a couple of goals. Pascal Gross had a great opportunity as well. So Newcastle's defense has been tight, but it's Man City at the end of the day. Now, what's going to happen with Haaland, especially against these low block teams, especially against the teams which sit back? I think that will be very interesting. I'll probably wait for at least a couple of more games like these to understand his overall potential, and then probably make a move. If you're not going Salah, I think the next best option has to be Jesus. But again, it's FPL, it's football. Haaland might just come off with a brace, and I'll be sitting here with egg on my face saying that Haaland was not a great pick. I mean, he's a great differential to go for, but again, it's a high risk move. There are chances that he blanks as well. There are chances that he plays maybe 60, 70 minutes, comes off a lot earlier. If City are not winning or if they're drawing the game, for example, I think he stays, but risky option to be honest. Perisic almost certain to start today, yes. But will he start those midweek games? I don't think so. He'll start those midweek games, to be very honest. He will feature in those games, maybe 45 minutes, as I said, maybe in the last 15, 20 minutes. There is potential there as well. But then you're really, really restricting your, X minutes or the minutes that any FPL player in your team can get. There are, it's a high risk, high reward move, as I said earlier. But yeah, I mean, I personally don't think so he will start those midweek games. Cucurella to Robertson. Is it the other way around, or is it Cucurella to Robertson? Because if it's Cucurella to Robertson, I probably won't do it. I think Cucurella is decent value. But if it's Robertson to Cucurella, I think you also need to understand there should be a plan in place. Let's say if you are taking out a Robertson, you will be getting some money if you downgrade Robertson to a James, to a Cucurella, to a Zinchenko, whosoever, right? If you don't have a plan for that 2 million or 1.5 million, whatever, then it becomes a bit awkward because you probably will be making that transfer without any future moves in mind. And if you want to make certain upgrades in midfield, in attack, for example, that extra money will give you the possibility, right? And that is really, really good. I don't think so. You'll be losing out a lot. Let's say if you go to a Robertson, from a Robertson to a James or a Robertson to a Cucurella, especially when you can, use that extra money. Do you think Wolves can score against Spurs? If not, might as well use my free transfer and get another option. I think they will get chances for sure. Whether they'll be able to finish those chances is also a different, question, because they are missing Jimenez. They are missing that clinical striker. Players like Neto, Podence, they will be getting in a lot of attacking positions, in a lot of promising positions. But from whatever I've seen with Neto specifically, his decision making ability is really, really poor. Right, he has been in really promising spaces in games, but he is just the final decision making where he has to probably take a shot. Maybe he has to then understand that he has to pass the ball at that moment. I think that is kind of missing at this point, and that is what is restricting him to get huge FPL hauls. I mean, when you see him play, it always looks like that he's probably going to get you an assist. Maybe he gets you a goal as well, but it never happens, or at least it's not happened so far. They can score, but yeah, I mean, I won't be surprised if Spurs, easily keep a clean sheet there. But yeah, I mean, Wolves definitely will get chances. Is Nair to Gross a good move? I mean, yeah, why not? If you're trying to save money, if you want to keep some money in the bank, maybe you want to use this money to make upgrades, maybe this week, maybe next week, or I think a viable strategy to go for. Hey Ansh, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Massive game week ahead, absolutely. Manifesting major green arrows. Let's hope all of us have green arrows at the end of the week. I think it's high time we get into the at least 400 500k mark now. Of course, right now rank really doesn't matter because it's just 2 game weeks and there are massive swings that can happen. One game week and you can easily get into the 100k mark. One bad game week, maybe you drop out to 3 or 4 million. So that's how volatile the rank changes are at the moment. But yeah, hoping that all of us have a great week. Yeah, I mean, this red T-shirt with IF logo. I think yeah. Let's see. I mean, there are some plans ahead in terms of getting some merchandise, like some making some cool stuff. But yeah, let's see. Let me know if you guys will be interested in something like that. I think it'll be really, really cool. Who to play? Andres. and Da Silva or Andres or Nico Williams. I think Andres or Nico Williams has more potential. Nico Williams, as I said earlier, potential for a clean sheet. He will be quite attacking. He will be going into really promising attacking spaces. There is a lot of attacking threat. I've said that word a lot of times now. A lot of attacking threat with with Nico Williams. Most of the attacking play again, and most of the attacking play that Forest would probably get on the field and do. I think it's a lot. A lot of it will be flowing through Nico Williams. We've seen that he really is great, and he looks really great when he's playing football on the pitch, and there is a lot of potential there. So I still feel Da Silva is probably at the risk of rotation because we have Damsgaard as well now. There's a lot of conversation in terms of whether Da Silva will share minutes with a Damsgaard, or will that happen with let's say someone like a Jensen, for example, right? Generally what we've seen so far, Brentford play two systems. They either play a 5-3-2, or they play, let's say, a 4-3-3, for example, right? In both the systems, I think Jensen will be in the center of that midfield. He will be playing on that right, sometimes on the right side as well. Maybe he plays on the right most of the times, but he will be in midfield. So I just feel Da Silva is probably more at risk in terms of rotation, because I genuinely feel that Damsgaard will be getting a lot of minutes. We will try to kind of assess and see what happens with the Damsgaard, because he also might be having great FPL potential, great attacking potential. He is a creative player. We've seen him in the Euros as well. So yeah, I think in general this week, Andres and Williams is definitely better overall as well. I think this is a better combination to go for. Rodrigo, Andres, or Da Silva. Choose one to start. I'll start. If I had to start one, I'll probably start Andres Pereira over Da Silva and Rodrigo. Rodrigo has Chelsea. Da Silva maybe doesn't. I mean, if you look at his numbers, they aren't really that promising. Those numbers would also be a little bit inflated because of that performance against United. Da Silva is not going to play United every week. I mean, considering that United are still bad or whatever, I don't think so. There'll be that those kind of goals that he'll be getting, because I mean, keepers are probably not going to make those mistakes like a David De Gea. But yeah, I think I'll still go for Andres Pereira. Given last two results of Everton, you think Patterson is a risk? I don't think so. I think, in fact, he has been one of the bright sparks, in the Everton team. I think he's the other option that you have is probably Coleman, who probably will play, as a centre back if he plays. And there aren't really a lot many options. Patterson has been, bombing forward. He has been in very attacking positions. Yes, he's still very young. He's still probably kind of immature to, when as we spoke about Neto, right? That key decision making ability that for Patterson as well is kind of probably gonna get a lot mature. But I still feel he's been one of the bright spots in that Everton defense. I think they will definitely get better, and I think Patterson is still a. I don't think so. He's a risk. I think he's a great option, especially considering that he's only 4 million. Saka's a differential captain. I personally won't go there. No, I still won't. I mean, whatever we've seen so far from Arsenal, again, just 2 game weeks, but a lot of their game, a lot of their plays have been from the left, and this is where Martinelli operates. And that combination between a Martinelli and a Jesus has been really really good, right? Now, I is Saka really on pens? I mean, I'm still not very sure. Uh, he's not even. I mean, he was a bit lucky to get that assist as well. So I mean, as an option, I understand, because he still has decent fixtures. But differential captain, if I have to go differential, I'll probably go for a City player. I could even go for a Kane or a Son, let's say, for example, if you have them in your team. But Saka is pushing, pushing it a little bit out there. So I personally won't go for Saka if I had him, in my team. Are you selling Bailey next week? Let's see. I have two free transfers next week, so there could be a lot of moves that we can do. We can do a Williams to. I think a Perisic would be difficult, because I'll probably will be priced out of that move. Maybe a Williams to a Cucurella to a Walker. That's one option. Mount to a Diaz or a Kulusevski is another option. We can even downgrade Bailey. Let's say if I just do one of those moves, let's say either I do the Mount move, or I do the Williams to a defender move, to a premium defender move. I can just get in some more cash, use that, burn that transfer, and do Bailey to maybe a cheaper option. I don't think so. I'll go for Da Silva, because it doesn't really make any sense for me to have point 2 when I can probably have point 4, when I can probably go for a an option which is 4.5 million, and I probably won't be needing that option for most weeks, because I have Pereira, and I think Pereira should start majority games. I think he will be okay. he will be fine for the games. So yeah, I personally don't need those many options, and I can still get a 4.5 playing option. Let's say like a Reed, for example, from Fulham, right? He's probably just gonna give me 90 minutes week on week, and I think that's okay. Should Trippier be taken out? I mean, why not? If you don't want to rotate Trippier with a Pereira, I mean, you can absolutely do that. If you want to go big at the back, with premium teams having decent fixtures, I think both of them are really really good. Cucurella, as I said earlier, has more potential, but is slightly riskier than Walker. Walker doesn't really have a lot of potential. Yes, he will give you clean sheet points, but he's slightly safer. At least I like to believe that he's safer in that Man City setup at the moment. So choice is yours. If you want to go, slightly more attacking, I think it's Cucurella. If you want a boring, simple, safe transfer, then I think it's Walker. But yeah, I mean, no harm in doing the move. Unknown Shadow, nice name. We'll look at your team. Raya, James, Zinchenko, Cancelo, Trent, Cucurella, Salah, Martinez, Diaz, Jesus, Haaland, Sanchez, Da Silva, Reed, Greenwood. I think it's a good team. It has Man City, Liverpool. So your base defense is kind of covered. Um, I think it's a solid team. It's quite template, to be very, very honest. I think Raya is the only non-template option in this draft. I think Sanchez probably edges it towards a little bit more towards that template, but yeah, I mean it's a solid team. Do you think Saka is the way for Arsenal player, or do you think Martinelli deserved all these points? I mean, Martinelli has played really, really well. I have not really seen Saka getting a lot involved in the two games so far. A lot can change. I mean, after 4 weeks, we might be having a different conversation where, let's say, an Emil Smith Rowe comes in place of Martinelli and Saka is getting all these points. So there are chances of that as well. But I think Martinelli has started the season very, very strongly. We've always believed, or at least I knew that he always had this potential in him. And this season, it's really ticking along well because they have a Gabriel Jesus. They have a proper number nine, a proper striker that is doing a lot of these attacking plays, getting into promising positions, giving the likes of Saka and Martinelli to get assists as well. So it's all going good, and I don't think so. Saka probably would have deserved all those points for Martinelli. I mean, yeah, I think Martinelli definitely deserves to be in the side right now, and he's played really well. Next 4 game weeks, who do you think should score more? Perisic or Walker? Walker. I mean, I don't think so. I think Sergio Gomez was the player that Man City has signed. Uh, I don't think so. He suddenly comes into the frame and starts every game. I just don't believe that. There are chances that Walker might be replaced with a Nathan Ake on the right. Cancelo plays on the left, and then we have, let's say, a John Stones, for example, coming in and playing with the Diaz. So that's more of a possibility than the new fullback taking that position. It can still happen. That's why Walker. I still believe Walker is slightly better than Cucurella, but I mean they're still very slightly short-term moves. But yeah, I personally don't see that happening. Nathan Ake has also played really well, so it'll be difficult for a John Stones to enter the team as well because we expect Nathan Ake to make a mistake and then probably drop out from the team. And then that's the reason probably nobody's going for him, and probably people are looking at a Walker, for example. Though Nathan Ake has a lot more goal threat than a Walker. I don't think so. Walker's gonna get you goals, to be very honest. I don't think so. He's probably gonna get you assists as well on a regular basis. Yes, he's playing as an inverted wingback, but his positioning is still far off or far behind than what we are getting with the Cancelo, right? And I just feel Perisic, even though he'll get less minutes, he can even cover those points in a single or a couple of game weeks. Absolutely. I mean, there is no doubt in terms of my mind that Perisic is definitely the better, attacking defender, giving you more FPL points. Would you bring in Sterling for KDB with 2 home games for City coming up? Sterling for KDB. I think it's an interesting combination. I'm still not very sure about Sterling's overall potential because first of all, again, we've not seen that enough from you know from Chelsea. So, what do you make of a Sterling? It's also quite tricky. I mean, will he play on the left? Will he play in the center? We've seen him playing in the center for most weeks, but he, as well as we, all of us, kind of know that he's probably way better playing out wide. So, I mean, when we look at both options, I still feel. Uh, I mean, KDB is a lot better. I mean, overall, if you look at his potential, I still believe that KDB will be getting a lot of the ball. He will be attacking, or he will be playing in those attacking positions against weaker opposition, especially. I think he'll be playing a lot further forward as well. which of course enhances Haaland's potential, but that's a different conversation. But overall, I still believe in KDB because he's much more of a known commodity in this Man City setup. We still don't know what's going to happen, with a Chelsea. Yes, I think we kind of have figured that like a Mason Mount, Havertz, and Sterling are probably going to be those front three playing in for most weeks, or at least starting for most weeks. But I still don't see that potential. I mean, yeah, I probably still won't bring in Sterling. I'll keep KDB as is. The other option is to do Trippier to Perisic and downgrade Bailey to a 4.5 and take a -4. A hit is okay this week because I think a lot of people probably who don't have two frees, they will be taking hits. A lot of people say that it's not great to take hits early on the season. I personally believe it's probably okay to take hits early on because the ranks are so volatile. If you can get players, if you can get your structure fixed without using your wild card or any of that stuff, I think it's still okay. Uh, but yeah, I mean Trippier to Perisic and Bailey to a 4.5 doesn't really sound very interesting, right? I mean, yes, you're getting Perisic, but Perisic is still a tricky option to go for. I mean, there is upside with this move, but what happens to Perisic? Let's say if he doesn't start this week, right? Then what do you do? I mean, do you we've heard Conte saying that there will be rotation when the midweek games, when the Champions League games are coming up, and I'm pretty sure of that Perisic will get reduced minutes. So a hit is okay. I mean, as far as you probably are getting a more nailed pair, if maybe this was a Cucurella or maybe a Walker. Again, I'm saying these two names, but they're also not that nailed. Maybe in the short term they're okay, not in the long term for sure. But yeah, I mean, if you want to take a bit of a risk, it is okay. But I personally don't like the idea of making both these moves. But yeah, I mean, taking a hit is not a bad option at this stage. Tinkering with my wildcard, do I go Ramsdale, Perisic, or Haaland, or Edison, Zinchenko, and Kane? I like the idea of Ramsdale, Perisic, Haaland. I think there's a lot of potential there. Like Ramsdale, because he's saving you some money. Perisic is more attacking, though he's a bit risky, and Haaland as well. I think all of them are good options to go for. Kane, I'm still not very sure because we've only seen a couple of games. He still returned against Chelsea, which was a great header. But is he going to continue playing that deep? Is Son or somebody like a Kulusevski are probably now better options all of a sudden? There's a lot of uncertainty there. Yes, you're still getting some sort of uncertainty with the Haaland as well because we expected Haaland to go absolutely crazy. It's just been a couple of weeks. 1 week he's done well. The second week, the last game against Bournemouth, I mean, he didn't really meet expectations. But overall, the combination of Ramsdale, Perisic, and Haaland is still pretty good. Mountain Neto has undergone price drop. What to do? I mean, Mount can still become a much cheaper option if you want to retain that 8 million midfield spot. You maybe take some value out of your defense. Maybe even a Neto, for example. A Neto can be somebody a lot cheaper. Maybe a 4.5 million option. Maybe a Da Silva, for example. That should give you enough money. They've gone undergone price drops, but I mean it's fine. You can still get to alternate players. There are a lot of FPL options to go for, so I personally won't really worry about it too much. Views on Casemiro, finally a good signing for United on paper. A midfield of Bruno Eriksson, Casemiro looks mad. Massive step in the rebuild for United and a right one. I mean, yes, it's a right step in the right direction for Man United. Really, really excited. I mean, more than excitement, I was more relieved. I had tears in my eyes when I saw that move. Of course, there's a lot of speculation in terms of what's going to happen with Casemiro. He's a 30-year-old. You're paying 60 odd million for a 30-year-old. It doesn't really make sense and all of that. From a financial point of view, I can sit here and debate for hours, and I know a lot of people still won't agree with me. But I think for a change, it's possibly a move in the right direction. He should still give us some solidarity. Of course, the English game is a lot different from what happens in Spain. And when I'm saying this, it's also that he was playing for a champion team in Real Madrid. A lot of people, a lot of players in there have won Champions League. He's also a serial Champions League winner. So the mentality is very different there as compared to United. I mean, we've seen the likes of Ronaldo struggle. We've seen the likes of Sancho struggle. So it's still very early to say what's going to happen with the Casemiro, but he has a lot of quality. I I think at the end of the day, we won't be able to now field or we won't be fielding a McFred in midfield. And I think these are promising signs. But yeah, it looks great on paper. But what's really going to happen on the field? I think it's a wait and watch. But yeah, really, really excited to see him, Varane and Ronaldo now again playing for the same team. Exciting times, but yeah, I'm not. I'm very optimistic, but I'm not jumping to conclusions here, thinking that all of a sudden they are now a top four team. Absolutely not. Still, a lot is going wrong, behind the scenes and off the pitch, and then that needs to kind of sort out itself before we start believing in the club again. Before we start believing that we will probably achieve certain results in terms of whatever we have kind of set our objectives at. So too early to say that, but yeah, excited about the move, excited about him, playing in the team. But let's see. More of an attacking formation for United now. Yeah, I mean, no more double pivots or holding diamond. That's actually true. But again, not really jumping to conclusions. We've seen Ericsson. We know Ericsson's quality. We know Bruno's quality. Whether this really turns around the club or the team and their performances on the pitch, let's see. Let's hope for that. But yeah, it looks like they will be changing formation. Looks like they will probably be changing slight structure as well. And I think Casemiro, if he even plays somewhat similar to what he's been playing for Real Madrid, I think we will be okay in that area of the pitch. Should I start Andres or Nico Williams? I think Williams has more potential upside. There are chances that he can get a clean sheet as well. Pereira, of course, doesn't give you those many clean sheet points. A lot of attacking threat, as I said earlier, will be going through Nico Williams, and I think he's a better option this week. Captain choice from Haaland and Salah. Salah safer, Haaland differential. If you're gonna go really really safe and not take a lot of risk, then it's Salah. If you're okay taking a bit of a risk, Haaland has potential, but it's a tougher opposition. I know I'm talking about Man United, and Man United are a decent team, of course, but they've been really bad defensively. A lot of mistakes, and I think Salah can really, really capitalize on that. I'm actually a little bit scared, or in fact, a lot more scared in terms of what's probably going to happen in that match. So yeah, I feel Salah safe. Haaland, if you're trying to do something different and take a bit of a risk. Is Perisic and Patterson to Cucurella and Walker worth a -4? I mean, I know a lot of people are getting Cucurella and Walker both, but both of them look a bit risky because, and especially for a minus. I mean, -4 is okay, but it looks a bit riskier because they might not be nailed. I mean, when we talk about returns, maybe they will get more consistent returns than a Perisic and a Patterson. So if you feel that they're probably nailed options, at least maybe 3 or 4 weeks from now, till the time maybe you probably would have to use the wild card to make these switches, I think it's fine. But yeah, I'll be a little worried if I have both of them. I think it's a little tricky to go for both. Chances Forest versus Everton and nil-nil draw. I mean, I'm quite. I won't be surprised if Everton don't score, but Forest have shown some attacking threat, and I think they have the ability to score against Everton as well. I mean, Everton. It's a home game for Everton. I think. Yeah, it's a home game for Everton. Been they've been strong at Goodison last season as well. So I think they will be strong defensively. They will be a lot more compact, but they are missing a striker. So that attacking potential, yeah, looks a bit dodgy. Won't be surprised if it's an inland. I mean, there will be chances in the game for sure. Maybe half chances, maybe clear cut chances. But yeah, nil-nil won't really surprise me. I have Trent, Robertson, James, Cancelo, Saliba who want to bench. I mean, if I have to bench somebody, I'll definitely bench Saliba. Though all of them have potential for a clean sheet. If you want to spread your risk, I mean, it just feels weird to bench one of Trent or Robertson, especially when they are facing against United. Yes, United can score, and both of your defenders might lose the clean sheet, but the attacking upside is massive. So I'll still, I know it's probably not the safest strategy out there, but benching Saliba for me, I think I'll be benching Saliba. I'm removing the ever divine duo of Lisandro plus Sancho, who gave me a total of -1 and +1 last week. I mean, yeah, I feel for you. Going for United players was always brave, was always risky as well, but that's what it is, right? So you have 11.7. You have a defender and a midfield spot. I mean, a lot of ways you can go about this. You can probably get in one of Cucurella or Walker. Um I mean, I don't know what your entire team is, but you know, try to get in somebody like if you don't have a James, I think James definitely should be priority, and maybe the other option can be a Pascal Gross. I'm not sure whether you can make that, or you probably have enough money because I think James is 6.1 if I'm not wrong, and Gross is 5.7. So I think you'll miss out by a 0.1 million. But I think prioritize James, prioritize players like Cucurella, Walker, and then see how much money you have. And again, if you don't have a Trent or maybe not Robertson, but if you don't have a Trent, for example, go towards those options. Depends on what players you have. It's difficult to suggest if I don't know your entire team. I see you don't have a third Liverpool player, thinking to bring them in, or just going with two. Right now, it's only two. Not really worried about a third Liverpool player. I know Liverpool are playing against United. I am bullish that United will concede a lot of goals, and Liverpool will do well. But I mean, it's fine. I can. I don't. I definitely think there is more potential in a Luis Diaz or a Robertson this week. But I really really wanted James, and this is definitely a long term move. If at all, let's just keep our fingers crossed. And if James doesn't get injured, I think he's pretty much nailed in that team, guys. Whether he plays as a right wing back, whether he plays as a right centre back, whether he suddenly plays as a left centre back. I mean, he's done weirder things. But yeah, I think with his ownership as well, with his potential as well, there's a lot more to lose here, and that's why I did the switch. I can switch a Mount to a Diaz next week if I feel that Diaz has potential and if he's playing well. Maybe he gets a huge haul, then I think it's easier to take that call. If Mount plays really, really well and then Diaz blanks, then I think I'll be in a bit of a dilemma because then it's an interesting choice to make. But I'm not very worried about not having three Liverpool. I know a lot of people are saying that three Liverpool, three Man City, three Arsenal are necessary, but I personally don't believe that. Is Jesus a good option for a captain differential? Yes. If you don't want to go Salah, if you don't have Salah, I think he's definitely the second best option to go for this week. Thoughts on Jesus captain? Again, if you want to go differential, slightly different. If you don't want to follow suit or follow what others are doing, I mean, he has haul potential definitely this week, but Salah just edges it because he's playing a poor United defense. Madison or Salah for captaincy, and why? So Salah is safer. If you want to go safe, if you probably are looking at a player who's probably gonna tick along nicely or get a huge haul, a lot many managers would be captaining Salah. So if you want to go safe, I think it's Salah. He has a great record against Man United. I think in the last nine games or so, he's scored 7 goals, gotten 2 assists. So there is haul potential there. We know that Firmino will be playing, so there will be a lot many times where the likes of Salah, the likes of Diaz will be getting a lot of chances, as opposed to maybe let's say, for example, if Darwin Nunes was playing, because he would have been a lot more central and he would have probably hogged a lot of chances. But I think the situation will shift, the scenario will shift now, and I think Salah will be getting on the end of chances, and there are possibilities that he can get a massive haul. I mean, we saw it last season as well. So safer is Salah. You can't really go wrong. Uh, I mean, Madison is he's facing a decent. I mean, he's playing for a decent attacking team. Southampton haven't really inspired any confidence in defense. They look they look a bit all over the place. So Madison can get a huge haul, even Vardy, for example. But I mean, if you're really, really, risking it out there, then Madison is a good option. But I think Salah outscores Madison this week. Famous last words, but I genuinely think that Salah, outscores Madison this week. Planning to take out Bailey. Which Brentford midfielder should I get? If you want to save money, you go Da Silva, who's I think 4.7 right now. Let's just quickly check it. Da Silva is 4.6. So if you want to save money, I think Da Silva is good. Jensen is 5. So if you just want a cheaper option, and if you just want to keep this option on the bench, I think going for Da Silva should be okay. I'm on a wildcard. Last minute question: do I go without Salah and get KDB? I personally won't. I think Salah has good haul potential. The fixtures are really, really good for Salah. I mean, it's Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves. Yes, from game week 8 to 11, it's Chelsea, Brighton, Arsenal, Man City. But I mean, yes, we've seen that Liverpool have struggled a tad bit in the 2 game weeks that they've played. Yes, they probably won't be Thiago in there. Their defense also looks a bit worrying. But when we talk about their attacking stats, when we talk about how we've seen them on the pitch, I still believe that Liverpool has even bettered what Man City's done so far. At least the attacking numbers say that. And I just feel it's still a very, very good attack to go for, right? I don't have any issues in believing that a KDB won't be getting hauls or won't be getting points, but I just feel Salah is outright or definitely the better option to go for. Is Newcastle defense really strong? Man City scored. I mean, Newcastle, from whatever happened last season to this season, I think a lot more has changed. They have tightened the defense, though they did look a lot more open against Brighton, and I won't be surprised if it depends, right? If Man City can get a goal, maybe in the first 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I think it could be a long game for Newcastle. But Newcastle can just sit tight, sit back, and defend deep. I don't even think they'll be getting a lot of the ball. They have runners in their team, so they will be definitely playing on the counters because they will hardly be having any possession. So yeah, it depends on the organization and the ability for Newcastle to have the patience to look for those chances, play on the counter, keep their shape, keep the defense very tight. But yeah, uh, could be a different game than what happened last season because they are a lot better in defense than last season. So yeah, Haaland will score more than Salah. Man United will bounce back. Yes, it's a narrative. I mean, it would be foolish to say that I'm absolutely 100% or maybe 500% sure that Salah is probably going to get 25 points or 20 points this week. I mean, with whatever's happening around the club, I still believe, and there are strong rumors of a protest as well. So there are chances that there might be a lot of unrest if there's a goal early on for, let's say, a Salah for Liverpool. I think United will be under a lot of pressure, and then you can't just say what will happen to the game and the score line, right? So personally, I don't believe that Haaland outscores Salah. I hope you, let's say, if you're going for Haaland or maybe captaincy, etc. I hope he does, but I still feel Salah is probably going to be the better pick this week. Do you think Darwin not now out for 3 games is beneficial for Salah owners? Looks like it. Feel bad for Darwin owners who bought him. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, made the early transfer to go to a Darwin Nunes early on, and then he got that red card. It was so that is a prime example, a perfect example of why you should probably wait for the games to finish and then make your moves, unless of course you're probably locked out of a player, etc. But I mean, it's just sad for Darwin, Nunes owners because they wasted a transfer. Now they have to make that transfer and take him out as well. But to answer your question, I still believe that probably is going to be better for Salah over the next 3 odd fixtures. I mean, having Nunes in the team could also be beneficial for Salah. We've not seen enough to make an assessment just yet. But at least when we know that when we have a Firmino in the team, it is definitely more beneficial than uh, maybe having a Nunes who will be getting a lot of chances, who will be playing a lot more central. We know how Firmino plays. We know how deep he drops, and he tries to give those balls, give those passes to a Diaz, to a Mane last year, let's say, and to Salah as well. So there is potential, a good potential for Salah. According to recent bandwagon, don't you feel that people getting in Brentford options is a bit? I mean, yeah. I mean, are we really expecting Brentford to just go out there all of a sudden and score 4, 5 goals every match? Of course, it's possibly not. It's definitely not going to happen. But I mean, a lot can be. I mean, we're talking about Brentford options. We're talking about Brighton options. We shouldn't forget the fact that they have played Man United as one of the fixtures, and those numbers will definitely be a lot more inflated, you know, than let's say if they played somebody else or some tighter defense, for example, right? So I personally don't think Brentford are gonna, and really start attacking and scoring a lot more. I still believe they have decent options to go for, but personally, if I had to just go for one player, I'll probably pick Tony. And I know Tony is not a very easy option to get into your team, considering that you have a Haaland, you have a Jesus in your team, and your structure is such that you can't really get a third attacker. He's still a lot better than players like Jensen Da Silva. They were lucky. They were a couple of, in fact, most of the goals were mistakes from the Man United team. It's not going to happen every week, and that's why the numbers don't reflect that, right? So yeah, it's still too early to say that they're possibly long term holds and all of that stuff. It's just 2 game weeks, out of which one was a absolute battering of Man United. So yeah. Your thoughts on the new look FPL app UI? It looks good. I've not really checked it out a lot. I just saw it in the morning, just in fact before the stream. But yeah, looks nice. Looks pretty good. I mean, overall, they've made some slight changes, I think, in the last update. But overall, it looks pretty good. I like the colors a lot, to be very honest, and a lot of our creatives are also kind of, those colors. So they actually look a lot better. It looks a lot more organized and a lot more appealing than last season. Let me know what you guys think about the new UI and the new app, in case if you are on the app. 1 hour more to go, guys. Do let me know in case if you have more questions, any more comments, anything that you want to add. We will be on the lookout for some team news as well. There might be a chance that we might get some information about a Perisic starting or not. Let's see if we get that. But yeah, I mean, we will be on the lookout for sure. Let me know if you guys get to know about any rumors on the team news about lineups, etc. Amongst all this chaos, there is a new rumor that Chelsea have inquired about my. Are you serious? I mean, why would Chelsea want Maguire at the end of? I mean, I'm glad if he goes, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I, what about Fofana? I think Fofana is pretty much done. I don't think so. It's confirmed yet, but I think yeah, I think it's looking like a promising move. Sky Sports tweeted that. I mean, I don't know how much to kind of believe into that. Could be just a random rumor or something. But yeah, Sky Sports, are they really trust? I mean, they've been occasionally very off and very wrong in terms of reporting news. So I don't know. The Maguire inquiry is true. Okay, interesting. I mean, why would you possibly want Harry Maguire in your team? Uh, it just baffles me. It's just too sad, right? Because United doesn't really have a lot of options at the moment. I know a lot of people are saying, why don't they play Maguire, or why don't they play a Varane or a Lindelof, for example. Martinez, I still don't believe he's a centre back in the Premier League, because he doesn't really have that physical stature. I don't think so. He will be able to compete with the likes of a Tony, with a Mitrovic, and all of these different strikers who will bully him around. But yeah, people fail to understand that we don't really have a lot of options as well. So yeah, but I think Chelsea would still want Fofana. I mean, I might be wrong, but Fofana is more of a long-term solution. I mean, yes, he's still young, but there is time to hone him into that structure, to uh, make him as a good, powerful centre back. I mean, he has that physical stature as well. I know the price has been outrageous for a Fofana. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much Maguire is valued at in terms of Man United. Let's see. He wants to start Varane and Martinez against Liverpool. I'm still not. I mean, yeah, still not very very sure. I mean, the prospect of Martinez starting with Firmino, it might be a bit easier, because Firmino also doesn't have that physical stature. But yeah, how the Mitrovic train derailed is mesmerizing. I mean, Mitrovic was never a. It's too early to call Mitrovic as an option, because we want to see how Fulham play. We want to see. There's one thing for sure, that whatever attacking threat Fulham has. I mean, especially goal scoring, threat, goal scoring opportunities. Majority of it is going to come from Mitrovic. I think that is something that we already knew, and whatever we've seen so far, I think that's something very clear. But yeah, I mean, I possibly would look at Mitrovic from game week 8, game week 9, when the fixtures are slightly better. I mean, I can't even call Newcastle and West Ham as easier fixtures, because that time we really don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, Forest in game week 8, Newcastle in game week 9, West Ham in game week 10, then Bournemouth, Villa. Though that could be a much better run, but I personally never expected. I mean, a lot many people went for Mitrovic, but I didn't understand that transfer. Like, I didn't understand the Kulusevski transfer last week, considering that people were going left, right, and center for a Kulusevski playing against Chelsea, and Chelsea absolutely dominated that game. Right, Spurs were definitely lucky to get a point out of that match. I know it could be debatable in terms of how they scored the goal and all of that stuff, but didn't understand that move as well. Martinez can be second to Casemiro. I mean, yeah. Ideally, I would want to see Martinez play in that DM position, but yeah, when now Casemiro is in there, I mean, maybe maybe Ten Hag is not seeing Martinez as that option. But yeah, I think we'll have to see for a couple of weeks. We'll have to understand how United is setting up now. What is the structure? How are players like Bruno, Ericsson? We know what's going to happen with wide players like a Sancho, maybe a Rashford, and we know that Ronaldo's probably staying. because he doesn't really have a lot of directions to go towards. So in attack, at least we have an understanding, but our midfield is probably going to be really interesting. Yeah, I think I also saw, and thanks for sharing the team. I also saw the same team: Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, Emerson, Hoiberg, Bentancur, Perisic, yeah, Kulusevski, Son, Kane. A lot of people are saying that it's from a trusted source as well, and I think Perisic is going to start. But let's see if we have something more official, maybe a leak from somewhere. Yeah. And this or Nico Williams. Nico Williams definitely more goal threat. Uh, I would say more goal threat, slightly more goal threat. I don't think so. It's that different. Definitely has more clean sheet potential. I mean, he will be getting more clean sheet points, and he's a lot more central to what Forest would be doing in attack. And I think there's a haul this week, considering that Everton haven't really looked strong in defense or in attack. I think Nico Williams probably just edges out ahead of Pereira. Which one do you prefer, Raya, James, and Rodrigo, or Ward, Cucurella, and Kulisevsky? Raya, James, and Rodrigo. I mean, I don't like Ward as a keeper option for sure. James to Cucurella is possibly a massive upgrade or a downgrade. I mean, whichever depends on what way you look at this. And Kulisevsky. I mean, the more balanced is Ward, Cucurella, and Kulisevsky, but James has massive potential, right? So with the first option, you're getting a better keeper, you're getting a better defender. Rodrigo to Kulisevsky, he can match Kulisevsky, but I possibly won't be the situation or won't be the scenario. But because you're getting a slightly better option in a keeper, and you're getting James, who I still believe is definitely the best option in that Chelsea defense. I think the first option for sure. Is Kane a good long term option instead of Jesus? I don't think so. I mean, it is borderline criminal right now if you don't get Jesus. I mean, his ownership, Akshat, as you mentioned, is 80%, right? I mean, that is absolutely crazy. It's like almost the entire game owns him, and if you are going against Jesus, and if he returns, let's say, right, it's gonna be a tough game week for you. I I don't think so. Jesus is a bad option in any. I mean, yes, I understand the conversation about ownership, effective ownership. Trying to play safe, trying to protect your rank and all of that stuff. But if we just forget about that and just look at his fixtures as well, right? Arsenal don't really have bad fixtures, to be honest. I mean, they have Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa. Man United might be a slightly different team by game week 6. We don't know that yet. Then they have Everton, Brentford. Then they have that derby against Tottenham. Then Liverpool. I mean, yes, 9-10 becomes a little trickier, but then they have Leeds. So, I mean, overall, it's still okay. If you really want a long term option, I still don't think Kane is, because there's a huge price difference as well, right? So Jesus, considering that he's highly owned, considering that he has potential, considering that he's very central to how Arsenal are attacking at the moment, right? With Kane, I mean, I'm still not 100% sold that he's still a very great FPL option or an asset, because he is playing deeper. He will be creating a lot of chances. We will see the likes of Kulisevsky and Son push a lot further forward than probably last season, which might not be the case with a Jesus, right? Because I don't see him getting benched for most weeks. Maybe an Enketia plays an easier fixture, and especially in a midweek game and all that stuff. But I still believe that Jesus plays majority games. He's very central to how Arsenal are playing. He will be on the end of chances. He has the potential to create as well. So I just don't see how Kane fits into this whole situation. If Man United buy Gakpo and Anthony, they can guarantee. I mean, it's still too early to say that they can guarantee a top four, because Tottenham have strengthened their team. They still look a bit dodgy when we especially talk about their centre backs. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal are also looking really, really good. What happens with both these teams along with United over the next few weeks, I think we'll probably get a better understanding. But it's too early to say that with a couple of more options we can possibly finish top four. Yes, if you look on paper, United still is a very good squad. But yeah, it's not really happening on the field, right? Because there are a lot of issues with the club. I mean, the owners have really created this whole entire mess about what's gonna happen with United, what's happening with United. and the fans are not happy. Maybe the players aren't happy as well. Maybe the staff isn't happy as well. So there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen specifically in terms of ownership, because we are hearing rumors about a potential sale, about a potential minority, stake sale. That's also kind of circling in and around the news. So yeah, a club really has to function, maybe not perfectly, but a lot better than what United is doing at the moment. So yeah, too early to say that. Ward or Sanchez, Sanchez still, I mean, still playing for a much better defensive team, and I think he can do well. I mean, Leicester are really looking poor in defense. They're looking like they will concede goals. Even against a Southampton team, I won't be surprised if they concede a goal or two, right? Whereas the Brighton, yes, they're facing West Ham, but it's a tricky fixture. But I still feel Sanchez is the better keeper here. Is Zinchenko nailed to start at the moment? Heard that Tierney is definitely close to being match fit, and he will be coming back into the team. Now, in what capacity does he come back? Does he play in that left back role? I think Tierney definitely plays in that left back role. What happens to Zinchenko then is also very interesting, because a lot of people are speculating that he might play in midfield. And now, I personally don't see that happening myself, but I mean, the way he's been playing, of course, he's been playing as a fullback and playing a lot in midfield. That is that going to continue or not sure, but yeah, I mean, there is potential risk for sure. I do really think Man United with Martial up front will play. I mean, I personally think that Martial, if he can get his form sorted, if he can get a consistent run of games, and he can get back to some sort of form, I still believe that he's still, I mean, there is still some potential there. I won't really count out Martial, saying that he's a waste of a player, he's probably finished and all that. I still believe that there is some potential there. It's just not been, I mean, he probably has not reached that potential, and we've also not been able to utilize him very, very properly, right? Because a lot many times we've been very unsure about his position. He looks, I mean, the body language looks like he's a lethargic player. He might not be, but it just doesn't come out right, and it's just not fit the puzzle, properly and correctly. Yeah, till now. If Mount doesn't score this week, you should sell him. I will sell him if Mount doesn't score. I mean, yes, if he doesn't get FPL points, I mean, you would argue why are you keeping Mount, but it's also about how he plays in, because Leeds is the potential fixture. So if he's probably playing the same way as he's played in the first two game weeks, I'll definitely sell him. I have options in a Diaz. I have a Kulusevski to go towards. I can even go to Madison, but I think Madison's probably a bit more premature right now. I think I'll wait for Madison maybe around game week 6, 7, maybe even 8, 9. According to Fulham FC News in Twitter, Andreas is not in the playing 11. Let's check that. I mean, he looked okay in the press comments as well. I mean, he looked fine, but we'll check it quickly. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, still not very sure about the news. Guys, I think we lost the stream for a second. I hope I'm back. I hope I'm audible. I'm visible. But yeah, I no confirmed news about Pereira. If you have any, if you have any links, if you have any particular sites etc. that you've seen, maybe on Twitter, if you can share uh, you know a link, I think that'll be great. Have Don't see anything very certain still, so let's see. Soma, your team is Ramsdale, James, Robertson, Cancelo, Trent, Walker, Salah, Martinelli, Pascal Gross, Jesus Haaland. I don't think so any updates are required. I think it's a good team, to be very honest. Ake or Walker, I mean, it's a tough one, right? Because a lot of people are saying that Nathan Ake is probably more nailed, more long term. When we talk about attacking threat or goal threat, I think Ake has definitely more goal threat from set pieces. I mean, we've seen that Man City has been targeting Nathan Ake when they are taking set pieces. I'm sure they'll be working a lot in terms of their routines as well when we talk about set pieces. So, I mean, yeah, from an attacking sense, he looks better, but can he lose his place, especially with Stones coming in? Maybe. It's a very close one, but I still believe that maybe Walker is slightly more nailed. You read Pereira starting. I mean, yeah. If you have a particular link, etc., do let me know. I'll also go through that. I think I'm okay, guys. I hope I am audible now. And visible as well. People are giving Salah captaincy more because of mandatory defense. Otherwise, I think. I mean, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. People are giving in. They are considering Salah as a great captaincy option because of what they've seen, because of what they have seen in terms of United play in defense. I mean, we've been really, really poor. Otherwise, I actually think as well that Jesus would be a lot more popular because he's in form, because he's been playing really, really well. He's taking, I mean, he's taking that Arsenal attack and driving them forward, getting a lot of goals, and I think he will continue to do that as well. I mean, I personally don't think your assumption or your assessment is absolutely or wrong at all in any way. I think you're bang on in terms of how people are thinking this week, because if Salah had a slightly trickier fixture or a different game, maybe it was probably, let's say, Newcastle, for example, right? Or let's say a West Ham, for example. Salah can still score against those teams, but the conversation would have been, a lot different than what it is at the moment. If Mount doesn't return this week, then which one is viable mid? If you already have three Liverpool options, I think if you want to go for a mid, I think in the short term you might go for a Kulisevsky. I still feel I know a lot of people are saying that his position is at a bit of a risk, especially with Richarlison coming in. But if you saw in the you know, uh, game against Chelsea, Richarlison didn't come on for a Kulisevsky, right? And I don't see that happening as well. I still feel Son is a more possible replacement when we talk about a Richarlison. I think they're similar players in a lot of ways. I think especially when Spurs went to a back four and Kulisevsky was on the right side. Richarlison was playing up top. He was also kind of driving on the left as well. So I still feel he will be more rotated with a Son, for example. I think Kulisevsky is fine. So if you're looking at an alternate option, if let's say Mount doesn't work out and you're looking at an 8 million spot, I still feel Saka is still not the best option to go for. He has great fixtures, but when you can get a Martinelli, almost 2 million cheaper, I don't see a lot of value in Saka. So you probably go for Kulisevsky, and then you make that switch to a Madison, for example, who also has decent fixtures, in the upcoming games. Maybe in game week 6 when they face Brighton, even Aston Villa. I mean, game week 7 could be that transfer. And at that point of time, Spurs are playing Man City. So that's your switch that you can make. Basically, get Kulisevsky now and then hold him for the next few weeks. Game week 7, you make that switch to, a Madison. Kulu will be in rotation risk with Mura. I mean, see, with the 5 substitution rule coming in, I think, and especially with midweek game week coming up, we have Champions League from game week 6 as well. So there will be rotation. I mean, don't expect that any of these players, maybe with the exception of a Kane, for example, is probably going to last 90 minutes. We know that Richarlison will get limited minutes because maybe he'll be starting off the bench. Maybe if he has a great game or two, he then starts. But I don't think so. You can really guarantee 90 minutes in that team from most of these players. So he will be a rotation risk, but I still feel, I mean, you can still be a little bit certain about him playing about 60-70 minutes. When will Richarlison be fit? I think he's nearing fitness. Now whether he starts, and we can be wrong, and he might take Kulusevski's place. It's too early to say. In terms of what we've seen so far, I don't think so. That's probably going to happen. But yeah, I mean, Richarlison, even if he's fit, it's a little difficult for us to see him in the 11, especially with the way Conte, sets up his team at the moment. Maybe if they go to a back four, then maybe it has a higher chance of happening where we see Richarlison starting more games. But yeah, Barnes will start. I read about Barnes. Let's see. I think because I have no idea why we are losing the screen again and again. I think when I switch to a different screen, I think it changes. I'll fix that, but sorry for this. Yeah. So I was talking about Barnes, right? Will Barnes start? I think he might be fit enough. I mean, whatever we've seen, whatever we've heard so far, I think there is a chance that he starts alongside Wadi and maybe Perez. But yeah, let's see. Could start. I mean, he could also start with Vardy, Madison, and Barnes as well. So yeah, Saliba, Walker, James, Kukurea. Is it good? I think it's good. I mean, it doesn't really have a Trent, which is a bit worrying, or I don't even see a Robertson, so that's a bit worrying. But yeah, other than that, looks fine. But I would need that one Liverpool spot for sure. Neto to Gross, Trippier to Walker, two transfers use. Any better could have you been done? Trippier to Cuckoo. I mean, I think it's fine. Walker is still a safe option to go for. He will potentially give you clean sheets for most weeks, and I think it should be okay. Mount has gone down in price. Yes, he has 7.9 now. So if you didn't have any money, if you uh, didn't have any money to get an 8 million midfield option, it makes things a bit trickier. But I personally have some money in the bank, so I think we should be okay. Does it bother you not having Perisic provided he can? It doesn't really bother me. I mean, yes, I can really get a lot of points with Perisic, but I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I have decent options in defense. I have Nico Williams as well, who probably won't be a great option every week, but this week I don't mind playing him, and I know a lot of people are doing that. I know a lot of people have switched a Williams to a Perisic if they had money, to a Cucurella, to a Walker as well, but I think it's okay. Bailey to Reed or Da Silva. I mean, depends. If you're looking at a player who probably will start every game, I think it's Reed. I think he's probably going to play most minutes. Da Silva is slightly 1.1 higher, and there's a chance of rotation. So I think I still don't understand the attacking potential of a Da Silva because his numbers probably would be slightly inflated in terms of returns. He's definitely not gonna get those chances every week. So yeah, but yeah, he probably still has a, a slightly better attacking threat than Reed. So if you're looking at something like that, if you're okay spending 4.6, I think Da Silva is okay. But yeah, there will be certain rotation for sure because Damsgaard is most likely to play in his position. So that's something to look out for. With Reed, you're probably not gonna get that. I think Reed probably plays 90 minutes for most weeks. First on the bench, Andres or Da Silva. I'll have Andres Pereira. Or anyone else. So Bailey to Reed or Da Silva or anyone else. I think Da Silva is okay if you're okay with that additional risk. If you absolutely want to go for a safe player, I think yeah, I think Reed is okay. Suggest me a wildcard team. I've used it. I mean, it depends, right? There are different strategies to go for. You can go for three up top with Haaland, Jesus, and Tony, or you can go big at the back where you have a double up, a Chelsea double up in James and Cucurella. Maybe you have a Walker and a Cancelo double up. I still believe it's more value than a Trent and Robertson double up at the moment, but have Martinelli, Salah, Diaz. Maybe if you're looking at a wildcard team, maybe you can take a chance with somebody like a Madison. I know a lot of people don't have a certain Madison in their team, and that could be an option. Go for is it that wildcard won't really be very different from most of the template picks at the moment, but yeah, you can absolutely go for a structural change where you have a Ivan Tony from the Brentford team, which is probably the best Brentford option to go for. You have 0.8 million Billy to Gross or Neto to Rodrigo. I'm okay holding Neto. I mean, doesn't really look like a priority transfer out this week. I think we're okay if we hold Neto as well. Bailey's a bit tricky because I personally don't think so. He's gonna start most weeks, especially if Aston Villa play two up top. With Ings and Watkins together, I don't see Bailey starting most games. So I think Bailey to Gross is the better option here. Lamptey to who? No money in the bank. Should I go for Rico Henry? Rico Henry is a good option to go for. There is clean sheet potential with Brentford. Yes, it might not be as high as somebody like a Brighton, for example, but I think he's a decent option to go for. Mount versus Diaz next 3 weeks. Who do you think gets more points? Mm, so Liverpool have United, Bournemouth, and Newcastle. Chelsea has Leeds, Leicester, and South. I mean, on paper it looks like Mount is gonna have more points, but I'm more interested about how Mount plays against Leeds because I think that will give us some indication. I mean, he's definitely facing easier defenses. He's facing Leeds, they concede. He's facing Leicester, they look really bad at at defending at the moment. Then it's Southampton, so the fixtures are definitely pointing towards a Mount. But I think Madison probably is Diaz, sorry, is probably going to be more involved. Considering that Nunes is also not playing for the next three fixtures, it's Liverpool, Bournemouth, Newcastle. So yeah, I mean Chelsea definitely has better fixtures, but I still believe that Diaz probably will be more involved. So there's a high chance that he gets more points. Best 4.5 million defender. Saliba is one that really comes to my mind. If you are looking at an Arsenal defender, a premium sort of a team, I think he's a great option to go for. He will give you clean sheet points, may not give you that much of an attacking threat. I mean, it's still yet to see that, but I think it could be a good option to go for in that 4.5 million price category. In case if you let's say want to go for some different option, I think maybe a Brighton option could also be okay. Maybe somebody like a Dunk, for example. He's a differential. He's only about 3% owned in the game, and I think he could be a great option. You have the likes of Sessegnon, etc. as well, but I see a lot of rotation there. So I personally am not a huge fan of the Spurs wingbacks apart from a Perisic because of the upside that a Perisic has. Other than that, I don't really see a lot of very good options. I mean, Rico Henry is another one that you can probably go for. Brentford have decent fixtures. He has some attacking threat as well, and I think he could be okay. Just concerned, what should I do with Neto? Keep him and save two free transfers next week, or replace him with another mid? Thinking of going towards Leicester. I mean, I personally will probably save. That's my call. I understand that you probably want to go towards Tielemans, but I personally am not very convinced about Tielemans and his potential yet. Start Nico or Neto. I'll start Nico Williams for sure. How much money does your team have in the bank? I have 1.5 million at the moment. So I have, because I made that switch from a Robertson to James this week, and I'm saving one transfer. I had to use one because I didn't want the transfer to go waste. I mean, you can argue that you could possibly have held, Robertson and possibly downgraded Bailey to a Reed or somebody like that. But I'm still not sure about which way to go there. I mean, I can go to a Pascal Gross if I find that he's actually decent, or I can go even cheaper and then maybe make upgrades elsewhere, maybe in defense, etc. Bailey to Gross, Neto to Gross. I think it's Bailey to Gross. Bailey definitely looks like a player that you should sell this week. Not sure about not sure about his minutes. I mean, we can talk about attacking potential. It's a different conversation, but I'm more concerned about his minutes than maybe what he does on the field when even when he comes as a sub, right? Because there was a chance in the last game where he came on as a sub and he could have gotten an assist if Watkins would have finished that chance. And probably this was a different conversation then, but I still feel he's not going to get minutes. Nico Williams, as I said, a better pick to go for. Has more clean sheet potential as compared to a Neto. Of course, Neto's not going to give you clean sheet points, and there are chances that I mean, he looks a lot more. Though Neto also looks a lot more involved for Wolves, but I think he will be getting a lot of. Neto probably could get chances, but he's facing a tougher team. Nico Williams is facing Everton, and I think there's potential there for a clean sheet. They've not looked Everton have not looked strong for sure, and there is potential for a clean sheet. He'll also be a lot more involved in terms of how Forest would attack, right? And could be a bigger haul. Start Ward or start Sanchez at goalkeeper. I'll start Sanchez in spite of probably having a slightly trickier fixture. How's Leeds defense this season? It's better, but I don't see them keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea. Can we expect Chelsea to score a lot of goals? So Chelsea hasn't really changed their system, their structure. They haven't really made any massive additions in attack. Of course, we have Sterling now. He can score goals, but I'm still not very sure about his positioning in terms of how is he going to play, because we were probably expecting him to play on the left out wide and then probably coming in, cutting in, but he's been central to what Chelsea have been doing so far, and that's probably interesting. I still don't see them or Chelsea as a very high scoring team. Most of the weeks they won't be scoring 3 or 4 goals even against easier oppositions. They probably, I mean, that's how Tuchel plays, right? He gets a goal or two and then he kind of sits back and defends, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. I have captaincy on Sterling, but everyone's going with Salah. I mean, of course, the concern is not wrong in terms of losing out ranks, losing out points, because Salah is definitely better, has better potential this week against Man United. Sterling, I mean, yeah, you understand, right? It's a bit tricky. It's a bit difficult to to keep a lot of faith on Sterling at the moment, considering that we've only had a couple of game weeks of information of eye test, and of course, a lot could change. But yeah, I just feel that captaincy on Sterling doesn't really make sense this week. Should I take a hit and sell Neto to get in Gross or anyone? I possibly won't take a hit to sell Neto. I'll keep Neto. I think Neto is okay. I mean, yes, there's not a lot of potential, but possibly won't take a hit for a Gross or somebody even cheaper. I just don't see that high of an upside there. Alternative for Bailey, it depends on which way you want to go for. You can go for a Pascal Gross. You can downgrade a Bailey to maybe a 4.5 million option. You can even go for Da Silva, who's slightly at a rotation risk with somebody like a Damsgaard. But yeah, I mean, there are different routes that you can go towards. Why Williams over Pereira? Is it sure that no? I'm not at all sure that Pereira won't start. In fact, I am pretty bullish on the fact that he probably will start. Let's see if we still have any more information there. Um, but yeah, I just feel that Pereira or Nico Williams might have better potential this week. Everton have really missed a striker. I mean, whatever we've seen from Everton so far, they don't have a proper number 9. They don't have a player who can get on the end of those chances, which Gordon was trying, and he's been promising. I mean, he's looked really good so far, but let's not kid ourselves in believing that he's a striker that's probably going to give you 10, 12 goals or 15 goals a season, right? So that's my worry, and that's where I see the potential, for a Nico Williams to get a clean sheet, and that's my reasoning of starting Nico Williams over Pereira. Bringing on Kulusevski for Neto, I mean, it's okay. Kulusevski has a decent fixture. The next few weeks looks good. Not a bad option. Mount or Kulu, this week I slightly prefer Mount, but overall I think Kulusevski is probably going to be a lot more involved. If it's a long term option, I think Kulusevski looks a lot better. Okay, guys, 20 minutes to go. Make sure that you save your teams. Don't keep it till the very end. Don't keep it till the last moment, because there could be server issues. There could be your teams might not get saved and all of that stuff. So make sure that you save your teams. Make sure that you change or put your captaincy on the right player, etc. Any news on Perisic? Looks like that he's going to start again. There are no leaks that have come out yet, but most of the players, most of the FPL managers, most of Twitter is saying that he should start. I mean, that's what we've seen so far. But yeah, no official source as such, no leaks as such. I've got Solly March in for Bailey. Let's see how that goes. Solly March is a good option. I mean, it's an interesting option, to be very honest. I know a lot of people would probably be talking about a Pascal Gross, maybe even a Trossard. Trossard is slightly more expensive, but Solly March could do well. He's a massive differential. I still feel Pascal Gross is the better option to go for. But yeah, I mean, what's there to lose, right? I mean, it's not that you're probably going to keep these two options for a very very long time. I'm pretty confident that these options probably won't work, and then we'll kind of start searching for the next cheap budget midfield option. Neto or Pereira, like Pereira more out of both the options for this week, definitely. As let me just quickly check my team as well if everything is fine. We have the captaincy on Salah, which I think will stay, not making one additional transfer. I'm pretty okay playing Nico Williams this week. Get a better understanding of how what game state is, and how teams are playing, and whether we have some more information that comes to light. Based on that, I think we can make those two changes. That also gives me the flexibility to change Mount and a defender at the same time, or even possibly change Bailey. I mean, I'm okay holding Bailey as well. He's 4.9 now. Mostly, he's probably going to be on my bench. I mean, I'm losing about zero point 0.4 million in terms of price when we talk about Bailey, because I'll possibly go towards a slightly more cheaper option, maybe a 4.5, so I can gain some value there. But let's see if it's worth it next week. If Mount is absolutely playing, is flying against Leeds, I mean, there are chances that he also plays well against the other two defenses, which are not very strong as well. So let's see. What made you start Williams over Pereira? I've mentioned this before as well. Quickly telling you, has a higher chance of getting a clean sheet this week. Of course, he's a defender, so he'll get those additional points. Everton haven't really looked that strong in attack. I mean, they are definitely missing a clinical striker. Nico Williams, when Forest are attacking, he's a lot more involved and a lot more central to their attacking output. He's on set pieces, high chance of getting an attacking return. Was unlucky in the last game, could have got a return. So let's see. Definitely better option. I'm hoping for some good new performances from United. Difficult time for us United fans. I mean, it is a difficult time for United fans, and I can't even imagine to to tell you how I felt with that Casemiro news. It was a very emotional moment, to be very honest. I mean, and especially, I mean, I've been supporting the club for the past 18 years or so, so it's almost been 2 decades. It's a long, long time to see a club getting at the top level and then kind of falling apart, and it's been a really, really long time, right? We need some positives. We need some good stuff happening to United because we deserve to be on the top. It's I know it's been bad. It's been really, really bad, but things definitely can improve. For me, I still don't know who to go out of Reed or Da Silva. Reed is probably going to give you more minutes. Looks like he's a little more nailed than Da Silva. Da Silva could go up in price. I mean, yeah, you can save that point one. I don't understand, but I don't think so. He will be scoring these many goals, to be very honest, right? Those attacking returns definitely look a lot inflated, considering the performance against United. And as I said earlier as well in the stream, they're not going to play Man United every week. So I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, Reed hoping that he does something is actually wishful thinking, to be very very honest. I won't really bet on that. If he gets something, you're actually lucky, but yeah, just don't depend on it too much. Jensen on Da Silva. If you want a playing option, go Jensen. If you want a bench option, maybe just go Reed. I mean, I won't even probably go Da Silva because as Liam mentioned that he might even go for another price rise, right? So no McFred means I mean, yeah, no more McFred is something that I'm looking forward to. Casemiro playing in as a DM, and I'm hoping that he does because I don't see any other alternatives for him. But yeah, I think games are going to be less frustrating. Streams are going to be less frustrating, and I still haven't been that frustrating on at least in first 2 or 3 streams in terms of what I was last season. I mean, it was really tough to see United play, and of course, I will be seeing them play and then come on the stream and talk about it and rant about it. And yeah, I mean, let's just hope we don't reach that point, or we don't reach that boiling point this season. Should I sell Mares? I mean, if you have Mares, keep him this week. What other options you have, right? So unless you plan to go very cheap and let go of that 8 million spot, and you probably upgrading or maybe getting in James, maybe getting a double up on City, etc., That's an option, but and get Rodrigo. I mean, I personally, if you want to take a chance, I mean, I'm all up for taking a chance with Mahrez. Still a chance that he could start. I know he hasn't looked that promising, but Rodrigo is also a risk, right? And it's Chelsea this week. I'll probably keep Mahrez this week. Perisic plus Mount or Walker plus Diaz has been playing in my head. As I mentioned, ah, I mean, I spoke about this earlier, right? Walker plus Diaz looks a lot more safer than a Perisic plus Mount. Mount, considering the fact that how involved will he be in Chelsea attacking or returning, because we don't see Chelsea as a team who probably score 4 or 5 goals, right? So if they're gonna score 1 or 2 goals, whether the likes of Sterling will be involved, whether you'll have Havertz getting more involved, that's a bit trickier to predict. And Perisic adds to the dilemma even more, right? Because with Perisic, I mean, there is absolutely no chance that he's going to get 90 minutes with Perisic. He's probably going to come off the bench maybe for 15, 20 minutes if he's being benched. If he's starting, maybe he plays for 50, 60 minutes and then comes off. There's no chance that he's playing 90 minutes. So there is a risk involved. Walker plus Diaz might not be that appealing or attractive because Diaz is also not somebody, at least for now, he's not somebody who can explode and give you maybe 15, 20 points. And Walker probably will just tick along giving you 6 points. It's not a very explosive option whereas the Perisic plus Mount looks that way, but it's a bit risky. Can't look past that Bournemouth at home of Diaz. I mean, yeah, it is a good fixture. I think it's gonna be a bigger test for Bournemouth, who will come off facing Arsenal, and I think anything can happen in that Arsenal game. They might just get battered and then be very low on confidence, considering that they played Man City, then Arsenal, then they're playing Liverpool. So yeah. Um, who will be the best 4.5 million defender replacing Trippier? I mean, as I mentioned, options. Saliba is one option. You have Rico Henry as well, who's a great differential. Brentford have good fixtures. They can get clean sheets. He also has some attacking threat, so he could be an option as well. If you don't have a Brighton keeper, for example, if let's say if you don't have a Sanchez, maybe you can go for you can possibly go for somebody from the Brighton defense as well. That's also an option that you can possibly target. Dunk is right up there, so there are some options to go for. You should show your game week ranking or overall rank. I mean, I generally have I'll make some space on the screen to show it. Right now it's about 1 million, but yeah, I'll add that from the next week. Bordo Sanchez, Sanchez, in spite of having the tougher fixture, I still believe he's the better option. Leicester have looked really, really bad in defense. I won't be surprised if Southampton score a goal or two against that Leicester defense. I know you probably been asked this question 1,000 times. Absolutely fine. Neto or Pereira? I believe Pereira has a better fixture. There are some doubts about his starting, and we still don't have. I think we don't really have concrete information about whether he's starting or not. But I still believe he has more potential this week. You start him and go on with it. Do you see Harrison as an option? Could be an option. Looks like the more creative option in that Leeds team. Could take that Rafinha role from last year. If you're looking at a more direct player, Rodrigo is definitely playing in a lot more advanced positions. He's almost playing as a striker. Might not be the case when when let's say Bamford is playing consistently there. He might not be on pens, etc. But yeah, a lot of people are also talking about Aronson being a great option. Haven't really seen much in terms of his attacking output to guarantee a place in our teams. And that 5.5 million, 6 million spot is quite open, quite dynamic. So he could be an option, but I mean it's difficult to say that with absolute certainty because there's so many options, so many attackers in that lead side that the attacking potential, attacking output, etc. might be shared. That's a bit of a risk. Aronson as a cheap Neto replacement. I mean, could be, as I just said, right? Could be an option, but we still have to see how Leeds play and how much is Aronson involved. In the last game, he wasn't. Rodrigo has been the one who has taken up the mantle to score goals. And till the time a Bamford is out, I think Rodrigo's also going to be on pens. So could be an option, but too early to say. I brought in Dunk for a five. I mean, selling Dalot definitely makes a lot more sense because I at least don't see us keeping clean sheets in the short term. and I don't think so. I know a lot of people hyped him about his attacking threat and all that stuff. I was never on that train. His numbers haven't been that promising to guarantee, that attacking threat that a lot of people keep talking about. And I think Dunk is a good replacement. Brighton has a solid defense. He also has some aerial threat from set pieces. So yeah, uh, decent option to go for. Guys, 10 minutes to go. Please feel free to ask any more questions. We'll try to answer them. How is Gordon? Is he regular? I think he'll be regular in that Everton attack. He's been really good. His positioning has been, really advanced. He's been getting into promising positions. He can get a lot more. I mean, he has a lot more creative potential. One thing I've noticed or I've seen over the last couple of games for Everton is that he's not a clinical finisher, right? So even if he gets those chances, he's not like a DCL, for example. He's not like a Bamford also misses a lot of chances, but of course he's a proper number nine, right? With Gordon, you're probably not going to get that. With Everton not having a proper number nine, a proper striker is where my worry starts. And Gordon could be an option because he is literally playing quite advanced, but he's not a great finisher. He's probably not going to get a lot of goals. He will get chances, but I'm still very divided in terms of whether he can, finish those chances. So could be an option, not for me just yet. Let's see if we have some news about yeah, no confirmed information. Potential early Tottenham team news. Let's just quickly see this. Yeah, I mean, nothing confirmed. Guys, about 10 minutes to go. Or a little less than 10 minutes, about 7 or 8 minutes to go. Please feel free to add any more questions. Any concrete news on Pereira benching? Haven't seen anything on Twitter. If you have or if you get to know something, do let me know. I'm trying to search, different Twitter accounts about any information about any news. Haven't really seen anything so far. Some people are saying that he starts. Some people, as always, are saying that there are rumors of him getting benched. Haven't really seen anything, to be very honest. Yeah, can't see anything. If you come across anything, please guys do let me know. Do let us know. Um, but I personally don't see anything there. Great. Couple of more minutes, guys. Please feel free to add anything, questions, anything that you want to ask, check, add. But before that, make sure that you save your team, save your transfers, make your transfers if you haven't done already. I don't even know if the website is working right now or not. I really hope it does. Yeah, I think it's fine for now. I think we'll keep it short this time. Probably once the deadline's done, we'll probably end it. Yeah, so I think I'm pretty certain my team's pretty done. Pretty much confident about, very bullish on Williams this week. I think he will be a good option. Let's just hope Everton don't score and he keeps a clean sheet, because I think that's going to be massive. I still believe a lot of people have already moved on from a Williams. I think they've gone for players like a Walker, like a Cucurella, and they're playing big at the back. That also might be our strategy next week. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how much ownership he has, how much effective ownership he has this week, because I think there will be some options, some people who, let's say, don't who've not made this transfer, who kind of went for that dilemma or were in that dilemma of, or Rodrigo or a Pascal Gross. Maybe they didn't make this switch, and I think it'll be interesting to see. Very interested to see how Jesus and Salah also kind of fare out. What do you guys think in terms of their effective ownership? Do you think it's probably going to be a lot closer? I still feel probably Salah's going to be about 150, 160. and Jesus probably gets to about 130 or something. I think that's a more likely scenario. But yeah, do let me know what you guys think. In terms of captaincy, I mean, Salah is still the favorite. I mean, in terms of our poll as well, I think Salah is 64% of you have gone for Salah. I think it's for a good reason, right? I think there is a huge haul potential against United. I'm expecting United to be a lot better than what they have been against Brighton and Brentford, but let's see. Perisic will start. The high chances that he starts. A lot of forums, a lot of trusted Twitter accounts have mentioned that he will be in the lineup. Haven't got any news or any confirmed leaked information. But yeah, I think he starts. I see Everton scoring against Forest. Should I start with Pereira? If you feel that Everton will probably score, I think Pereira plays. I mean, even if he doesn't start, which I think he will, I think he still gets minutes in that game. But anyways, if you feel that Pereira has better potential, maybe you start with him and keep Williams on the bench. Protest today at Old Trafford, yes, and it could even cancel the game. There are chances. Let's hope it doesn't happen because we, at the end of the day, we still want to see football. And we don't want any unrest, etc. Of course, it's being done from a different perspective, but I don't see a lot of people also understand that because they take it a bit too far, and a lot of nuisance is then kind of created. I was just watching the highlights of Wolves versus Fulham and Leeds. Neto's playing. I mean, he is playing very advanced. He could have got goals as well, but it's just that he's not great in terms of his final decision making. When he has to, he gets that chance, he gets that opportunity, whether to go for that shot or whether to pass the ball. I mean, that is where he's lacking as a player at the moment, and that's very huge, very important from an FPL perspective. I think he's a great option, but and that's why he's not a priority sell for me, to be very honest. But I mean, Spurs could definitely give him chances, but it's up to him to kind of get those chances and then convert them because there is potential definitely in a Neto, much more than probably what we saw in Bailey, for example. Should I start Dusselba or Trippier? Good luck with the upcoming game week, by the way. Good luck to you as well. I hope you have a great week. Green arrows for sure. I think, I mean, in terms of both starting, I'll probably start Da Silva with the risk that he might get limited minutes. I still feel Trippier has a trickier fixture. I don't see Man City not scoring in this game. Uh, and the high chances that they can keep a clean sheet. So I'll possibly start Da Silva. Rashford to Labia 4.5, which is absolutely fine. Rashford to Lavia and Taylor to Tony, playing with the three at top. I mean, a really nice differential tactic because I've seen a lot of people using the wild card who went for the strategy where they went for a three up top because you will have to kind of understand or try to get something out of a wild card. If let's say you had a Nunes, for example, and maybe you had some other troubles as well, and you possibly can go for a Tony. I think going three up top is also a good strategy. Tony has good potential. I mean, I know a lot of people are saying that Brentford attack doesn't look that great. It's a bit of a overreaction to what they've done so far, considering that they played against Man United, who was really, really bad. Yes, there is an element of truth there, but I still feel Brentford has good fixtures. Tony has been very central to whatever Brentford do. He's on penalties. He's being a lot more creative. He is dropping deeper as well. He will create chances. He will get goals. So good option to go for. Guys, one more minute to go. All the best for this game week, for game week 3. I hope all of you have a great week. Do watch football, do watch games. Will Of course, it gives you a better understanding. In case if you miss those games, we also do like a review as soon as the last game is over. This review would be probably on a Tuesday morning after the United Liverpool game, if that game goes ahead. And do watch out for that as well. We do daily FPL content, so do follow us on Instagram. Do follow us on YouTube as well. We do daily YouTube content as well. There are daily videos that come out, whether it's replacements about any particular player. We also break down dilemmas. We've also been doing blogs as well this season, so answering all the key dilemmas for every game week. So a lot of good content coming out. So make sure that you be a part of it, be a part of the community, and of course enjoy whatever we are doing as well. I'll hold Neto for this week and save two transfers. I mean, looks like the better move. Probably will then have more options. I mean, yeah. See, it's very difficult to have a limited set of information and then react from it, because that reaction might be an overreaction to reacting to a certain information, and that might not be the case, or that might go totally wrong next week, right? So if you have some more information, some more understanding, maybe you watch more and you kind of assess and get some takeaways. That's always better in terms of making FPL decisions. Great, guys. It's deadline. I hope you guys were able to save your teams, make your transfers. uh all the best for game week 3. I wish and I hope you have a great week. We'll keep it short this time. I have some other stuff to attend to as well. We'll be back very, very soon with some more content, so do watch out the space on Instagram, on YouTube as well. uh, Bailey to read, you'll find the best net replacement. I mean, yeah, give yourself some more information, some more time, and then take a call. And let's hope we get on the right side of things. Have a great week. Do watch football. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you in Sainers next time. Bye bye.